Our next guest attended his first Bears game with his father back in 1979, and Roy Taylor has been a Bears fan ever since.
In 2000, he was named a Hall of Fame Bears fan. Now he's written a book about the team, filled with great photographs. The book is called Chicago Bears History, and Roy Taylor joins Bruce Wolf now. Over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Nancy and Roy. Thanks for joining us. So you're voted by, like, Visa. What, did you run up a big Visa bill, and that's how you got the...
Yes, but that had nothing to do with me winning the award.
Well, how did you get the award?
I got the award. I wrote an essay on why I thought I was the greatest Bears fan of all time.
And why? Why were you?
I gave a top 10 reasons why I was.
Give me one of those reasons.
I said some things like we were going to name our first son Peyton, which absolutely wasn't true. But
why didn't you do it? Because your wife says it's a girl's name, right?
No, she didn't want him named after Peyton Manning.
Oh, exactly. All right, there you go. Okay.
One of my favorite things to say, when I was in grade school, all the other kids in class were wearing their Steelers and Cowboys jerseys, but I took it upon myself to follow my team as best I could.
It's tough being a Bear fan in Chicago,
it's tough being a Bear
Easy
fan
to be a
in
Steelers fan and a Dallas fan.
In 1980 it was.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's take a look at some of the...
All right, so you've looked at all the numbers from all the years of the Bears. What does it tell you about the numbers from maybe the current game that we're looking ahead to?
One thing I want to say, we all know that Rex Grossman, there's never been a more vilified and a more celebrated quarterback, certainly in Bears history the last 87 years. But I can tell you that this is one of the top 3 quarterbacking seasons the Chicago Bears has ever had in their 87-year history.
Wow.
So that bodes well for Rex to have a good game this year. Also, I'd like to say that the Saints have won 1 playoff game in their history. They've never been to an NFC championship game, and a dome team has never gone outside to win a championship game. So I'm looking for the best this weekend.
All boding well for us, and we'll be at your house this weekend to watch the game. You won't mind?
I won't be there. I'll be at the game, of course.
That's okay.
That's all right. We'll just be there anyway.
Us.
Thanks, Roy. Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Roy. Stay with us. We'll meet 2 of the...
Let's go back out to Soldier Field. Hey, Randy.
Hello, Susan. Nice and toasty back there, are you?
Oh, we're a little bit chilly. We're going to kick up the heat to 75.
Excellent. All right, very good. Roy Taylor joins me. Roy has this awesome website. Tell everybody the name of the website.
BearsHistory.com.
BearsHistory.com. Roy knows everything there is to know about the Bears, or darn close, or can find out for you. First of all, we want to talk about the history between the Bears and the New Orleans Saints. They don't really play them that often, do they?
No, the history between the Bears and the Saints, the regular season record right now is tied 11-11. The important statistic to remember today is the Bears won the only playoff matchup between the two.
And when the heck was that? I don't remember.
1990.
1990.
The Bears' last playoff win before last weekend.
Is that right? And let's talk about NFC championship games and what we've seen. Chicago obviously hasn't won one now in, what, 18 years?
Right. We haven't hosted one in 18 years. That's what makes it so beautiful to be in this city this week, enjoying the game coming up, enjoying God's weather here before a Bears game.
Do you think that Bears fans, or should I say Saints players, will have trouble with this weather? I mean, what does history show in terms of warm weather teams coming into cold areas?
Yeah, I don't think that's all it's cracked up to be. Players come from all over the country.
Right.
Plenty of cold players on the Saints. I hope it has something to do with the outcome this Sunday, but we'll see.
And these guys are tough, no doubt about it. Let's talk a little bit about your website and what kind of things people can find there.
Yeah, BearsHistory.com. I started this website as a college project when I was going to Illinois Institute of Technology to get my grad degree.
When the only information you could find about the Bears was, or the other sports teams for that matter, was on TV, radio, or in the paper, those days are over because of the internet, of course. Here's CLTV's Jim Wagner blogging the Bears.
When I first started going on the internet, I couldn't find what I was looking for on Bears historical information. So when I started earning my master's degree at Illinois Institute of Technology, this began as a project for that class. And after the class was over, I kept the code around and launched it as BearsHistory.com. It's been up on the internet for 7 years, and it's #1 ranked on Google for Bears history information.
Roy Taylor grew up in west suburban Plainfield, went to Illinois State, and then got his master's at IIT. And out of all the Bears blogs and websites on the internet, we found his to be by far the most tricked out with good information. Its site is simply BearsHistory.com, and these days Taylor runs it from his home in Yorkville. It gets on average 15,000 to 20,000 hits a month, and you can find everything from stats on Bears games back to 1920 to Bears lore to Bears blogs, which, by the way, are anything but a bunch of lip flap from bitter Bears fans.
Sometimes I didn't even want to have the the name blog on my site because there are too many people out there that are just blogging about their trip to the grocery store.
Take a look at this quarterback information on the Bears. Do you remember who quarterbacked after Bob Avellini? Mike Phipps, Vince Evans. And who quarterbacked after Jim McMahon? Steve Fuller, Clemson. And how could we forget Peter Tom Willis and Will Fuhrer? And here's someone we might want to forget, Cade McNown. That's better than a trip to the grocery store, isn't it?
To Gerard McClendon live. You know, tailgating, the Bears organization said it was the Park District's decision. The Park said it was the NFL's mandate. Pass the buck or flea flicker. Fan code of conduct will be in full pads this season. Joining me to discuss the rules of the NFL, the tailgate ban during the games, and the definition of a Bear fan is Roy Taylor from BearsHistory.com. Roy, welcome to Gerard McClendon Live.
Thanks for having me on, Gerard. Appreciate it.
Oh, man, Roy, let's get right into this. I want to ask you, we're going to get to this whole tailgating thing shortly, but let me first start by asking you, how did BearsHistory.com come about? What a great website.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. I started that up about 8 years ago when I was in class, and that was a class project, and I've maintained it for 8 years. And you know, this tailgating during the game ban isn't necessarily going to affect me, but my Bear fan brothers and sister friends of mine that I've created my site BearsHistory.com for to give good tailgating information out, it's going to affect them in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So it does affect me. Now, ask me if I remember things that I should remember. I probably don't, but
Right.
in the little details about the Bears, I seem to keep those up here somehow.
So how much time do you spend on this website away from your day job on this site?
You know, a lot of what's out there was done in the very beginning. It was all written in the very beginning, and now I'm adding on to things. But it's kind of just out there now. I also have a blog though, which is where every day I try to go out there and just write. And I have followers from all the world that read the blog every day, which is kind of cool. I didn't know there were so many Bears fans in France and England, but there are.
All right, once again, what's your website?
www.bearshistory.com and www.chicagobearsweblog.com.
All right, so make sure you find him on there. Now, there's a little more that makes Roy an extreme fan, and we'll show you the rest of that on next week's show.
The number 10 football curse of all time, the curse of the Honey Bears.
Don't mess with the pack of ladies. That's never going to end well.
You don't want to piss off a bunch of hot chicks, no.
I mean, it was a whole lot of women scorned.
In 1977, George Halas told his associates, "I want dancing girls on our sidelines." He didn't want to be upstaged by the Dallas Cowboys. He wanted to have the best cheerleaders in the NFL.
1930s. I studied this as much as I can, and I'm convinced that if Beatty Feathers did not rush for 1,004 yards, he rushed for 997 yards or 998 yards and did something else that was totally amazing.
He still holds the NFL record for highest rushing average in a season with 8.44 yards per carry. That still stands in 2013.
Beatty Feathers probably rushed for over 1,000 yards, but it was definitely one of the most amazing seasons in the NFL, certainly in the 1930s.
The number 4 curse of the 80s. Iron Mike Ditka.
4.
Coach.
Mike Ditka was a hot mess.
Bullish sausage.
He was bigger than life.
Fierce.
He was as Chicago as a deep dish pizza.
Ditka.
He was really perfect for the 80s. Does anything say more 80s than that old school Bears sweater that said Bears on it?
Have you been to an ugly sweater party before? I love ugly sweaters. There is a website, DitkaSweaterVest.com. I know this because I bought them as Christmas presents for my dad and my brother.
Oh, Greg!
If you were to make a list of all the great names associated with the Chicago Bears, you would start with George Halas. Number 2 on that list, without question, is Mike Ditka.
Man, this is what it's all about. I mean, people are getting snot knocked out of them out there. That's a good football game.
He even ran for mayor. But in the end, he's just a guy named Steve.
If God were to carve a Steve out of granite, he'd look like Steve McMichael.
Steve McMichael on the hit.
Mike Ditka actually said that Steve McMichael was the toughest player that he has ever coached. So when Coach is giving you those kind of accolades, bow down to Steve McMichael.
Steve McMichael absolutely brings honor to football players named Steve.
I have brought honor to myself. It just so happens I'm named Steve.
If you won a Super Bowl, you're not eligible for this list. That would be too easy. Plus, those teams already had their fun. So, sorry, Fun Buds. And our bad, 85 Bears.
I don't know what you're thinking. The 85 Bears, it's like the epitome of fun.
And off to the refrigerator.
This is like you made a list of the greatest rock bands of all time, and guess what? You forgot the Beatles.
It's one of the most egregious mistakes in the history of the top 10 programs.
The Super Bowl Shuffle doesn't fit the criteria for our list. Fret not.
As momentum was building in Chicago, there was one elite team in the league who was already riding high with major success. Throughout the 1970s, the Washington Redskins had a roster of seasoned vets.
In the late 50s, early 60s, the Bears had a great assistant coach, George Allen, that was really close to George Halas. He ended up leaving to go coach the Los Angeles Rams, but later on he went and coached the Washington Redskins in the early 1970s and was a very successful coach.
It dazed and confused the Redskins all afternoon, with 11 Chicago Bears touchdowns in one game.
It got so bad that the refs had to approach George Halas in the third quarter or so, and they wouldn't let him kick any more extra points because they had kicked so many balls into the stands that they didn't have enough balls to play the game, so they had to run in the rest of the extra points.
Bears 73, Redskins nothing. Today,
he was known as, the assassin of the Bears defense. Doug Plank was the original hard hitter in the Bears secondary. He was forced to pretty much retire due to injury in 1982, but Bell just picked up without losing a beat.
Fuller caught behind the line.
Since the Bears were backed up that entire fourth quarter, Ditka calls a play that it seemed like a lot of guys on the sideline didn't understand or didn't know what he was doing. The Bears are backed up on their 1 yard line punting.
And rather than risk a possible touchdown here, they're going to take the safety.
Ditka has their punter, Dave Finzer, walk out of the back of the end zone and give the Redskins a safety. They gave him 2 points, and now it's 23-19.
Some players would come down and say, Bob, we know you can do it. You've been a good kicker for us. Just get ready, get mentally ready.
I mean, I've never been so cold because you were wet and cold. And they were going, why'd you just give up? We'll get off the field too.
Going into overtime, that was something that was probably the first time that I had experienced a situation.
We wanted to be a spoiler. We wanted to say no. The defense especially was like, Walter Payton's not going to break the record against us.
One of the things that I do know about Walter, he hated to lose. Hated to lose. He felt that he could do something else or just anything else that would help us to win.
We fought our way back, and it's one of those things where you have to keep believing from one week to the next that something good was going to happen.
Bears-Giants NFL championship game that's known as the Sneakers game. It was played in December. The field froze the night before. It was absolutely frozen. And Bears were up 10-0 on the Giants at halftime. Apparently in the football cleats, I still can't understand this, but in the football cleats, there was no traction on this icy field. At halftime, the Giants went to Manhattan College and raided the locker room and got every pair of sneakers they could get, and they changed shoes at halftime. They ended up beating the Bears 30-10. I still can't picture why tennis shoes, sneakers, would give you better traction on an icy field, but that's what happened.
Some 30 years later, the 1963 NFL Championship was played at Wrigley Field. In their 6 meetings for the crown, the Bears topped the Giants 4 times.
As the game was evolving into the modern era, the remainder of the 1960s and into the 70s would not be as kind to either franchise. From hopes and expectations for more postseason glory came times of hardship.
The interesting thing about that is I didn't realize that 63 was the last time the Giants also made the playoffs, was that 1963 NFL championship game between the Giants and the Bears. So the Bears had 2 Hall of Famers drafted during that time. Dick Butkus, Gale Sayers, obviously, but their careers were so short. Both of them were injured within 5 to 6 years after they started. So other than Butkus and Sayers, really the Bears did not do a good job of drafting talent. Then you had George Halas retired in 1967. In the late 60s, that's when the heart of that 1963 team all started to retire at the same time. Then in 1970, the Bears lost the coin flip to draft Terry Bradshaw, and they ended up with the 2nd pick in that draft. Instead of drafting anyone, they traded their 2nd pick to Green Bay for 2 or 3 guys who were washed up. So that just starts how the rest of that period of time between 63 and 77 went.
Jim Dooley was the first to follow the legendary Halas. 4 years later, it was Abe Gibron who took the reins for another 3 seasons. At that time, the Bears developed an interest in a former linebacker for the Rams and Redskins. A couple of years after retiring as a player, Jack Pardee was named new head coach of the Chicago Bears. In 1970, organization was the executive who hired Pardee. Jim Finks made his name assembling the playoff caliber personnel for Minnesota's Purple People Eaters. But with the mission he accepted as general manager and executive vice president of a struggling Bears team, there was nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Well, Jim Finks was the first non-Halas to run the Chicago Bears, and it was really hard for George Halas to let that decision be made. But by that time, George Halas' son, George Halas Jr., Muggs, was president of the team from the late 60s on. And Muggs really fought for hiring an experienced GM to run the team that knew how to run a football team that had had success. Now, that's the wrong thing to say, because if anybody knew how to run a football organization, it was George Halas. But he had been doing it for so long that maybe it was time for some fresh ideas, and Jim Finks had proven himself.
Their Sunday battles were an uphill climb, but the Bears of the mid-70s were winning a war elsewhere, in the war room on draft day.